which is about describing data using graphs, charts and tables. Charts and tables, graphs, charts and tables, describing the data using these things. There are 3 sections in this chapter: frequency distributions and histograms in section 2.1, bar charts, pie charts, stem and leaf diagrams in 2.2, line charts, scatter diagrams in 2.3. We will begin section 2.1 today, inshallah, and we will finish the first part, which is about frequency distributions, and we will talk about histograms tomorrow, inshallah azza wa jal. So the first section in chapter 2 about frequency distributions and histograms, and let us try to understand what is the meaning of frequency distributions. Well, it's a summary of a set of data. So summary of the data. So there is a data, and we need to summarize the data using the frequency distribution. So it displays what? Yani, what can you see in the frequency distribution? You can see the number of observations. This is called the frequency. The number of observations in each category, in each of the distributions, distinct categories or classes. So in fact, you will have something like this. This table is called a frequency distribution. Here you have the categories, the different ages, and here the frequency, with the number of repetition of each age. But this is the data. Here you have the data, okay? And this is the way you display this data in a frequency distribution. For 20 مثلا, how many time repetition? Once. فإذا 20 once. 18 مثلا, if you count 4 times, 4, 19 4, and so on. But from this table, this is better than looking at the data. You understand here, the maximum age is 25, the minimum age is 18, and 24, we have 0 student of age 24, we have 2 students of age 23, and so on. Okay, so this is called a frequency distribution. We distribute the frequencies among the categories. So you see the categories here and the frequencies in the second column. This is what we mean by frequency distribution. Now we studied in chapter 1 that we have different kinds of data. So mainly the data could be qualitative, or quantitative. We said qualitative, no numbers here, not inheritedly numbers, okay, no numbers, like color, like nationality, while quantitative, numbers, okay, inheritedly numbers. So we have numbers here. There are 2 types of quantitative data: discrete, like integers, okay, usually number of children, number of students. This would be discrete, 1 2 3 4, you can count them. Or continuous, you cannot count them, okay, continuous, like age, like weight, like length, okay. If you really find the age, and if the age is 21 point some decimals according to the number of months, the number of days, the number of hours, then it would be continuous. But in this example, in fact, he dealt with age as a discrete, had a discrete. There is no 18.1, 18.2. But you can say, no, this is discrete. But this is an example of a frequency distribution for a discrete quantitative data. But we will make frequency distributions for qualitative data, for quantitative discrete, and for quantitative continuous. So you have to understand how to make frequency distribution in each of the 3 cases. This is the discrete data, okay? And the meaning of discrete data can take on a countable base, a countable number. You can count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is discrete. You cannot count, like مثلا, all the numbers between 1 and 2. This is not countable. All the real numbers between 1 and 2. 1.001, 1.000001. You cannot count them. This would be continuous. Okay, so this is an example of frequency distribution for discrete data. And let us even solve an exercise. Let us solve this exercise 2.1. Given the following data, develop a frequency distribution of this discrete data. Well, we need to make a table, okay, in which we have categories. Category, we can say numbers, you can say classes, whatever, and frequency, F, or you write frequency. Okay, now what are the categories here? Let us see the minimum. What is the minimum number in the data? And what is the maximum number in the data? If you look to the numbers, well, the maximum is 12 and the minimum is 0. We are solving this question. So the minimum is 0, maximum is 12. So we don't have a lot of numbers from 0 to 12. We can deal with each one of them as a category. فالزيرو مثلا category. Okay. فالcategory 0, how many times repeated here? Once. إذن the frequency of 0 is 1. Okay. The category 1, do we have 1? There is no 1. So there is no need to write it. مثلا 2. We have 2. How many times? 1, 2, 2 times. So the category 2 repeated 2 times. Okay, the category 3. Is there 3? Yes, we have. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the category 3 repeated 4 times, and so on. Until the last one, which is 12. 12 repeated once. وبالتالي, this is the frequency distribution. طبعا, if you add all the frequencies, you will get N, which is the total number of observations or the total number of data. If you count here, we have 2, 4, 5 rows and 5 columns, so 25 numbers. So if you add all of these frequencies, you should get 25. This is a frequency distribution, very easy. Okay. What if we have qualitative data? Qualitative. Let us see an example about qualitative data. Here, for example, this is an example of qualitative data. What? Survey asked homeowners how they get their TV signal. How they get their TV signal. The answer was dish, direct TV, cable, other. The data here would be dish, direct TV, cable, other, direct TV, dish, cable. This is the data. For data qualitative, no numbers here. Okay. طيب, you make categories. Category each one of them. Okay. Each response. الدش مثلا is a category. وهنا how many times it's repeated? 80 times. فإذا 80 homeowners said we received the signal of TV using the dish. Okay, what is the 200? The total number of homeowners in the survey. So this survey was for 200 people. 90 of them said direct TV, and so on. So this is a category frequency. This is a frequency distribution for qualitative data. You can also have this example. This is another example about frequency distribution for qualitative data. You have here the make of each vehicle. Okay, what is the make of the vehicle? 15 holders, policy holders, they asked to determine the make of their vehicles driven, and these were their answers. فعندك 15 answers. Qualitative, as you can see, so we can put each car company in one category. For BMW in one category, how many times repeated? Once. فإذا this is a frequency distribution. If you add all the frequencies, you get the total number of cars here to 15 people, 15 homeowners, not homeowners, vehicle owners in this case. So this is what we mean by frequency distribution for qualitative data. Now let us go to one thing before the frequency distribution for continuous data. Before we talk about it, let us define what we mean by relative frequency. He can ask you in the question, he can say to you, construct a frequency distribution. A frequency distribution like this. This is a frequency distribution in which you see the frequency. But if he says, construct a relative frequency distribution, relative frequency, then this is not good. You need another column for relative frequency. How do you obtain the relative frequency? You divide the frequency by the total number. So 80 divided by 200, and you write a column here. 90 divided by 200, 20 divided by 200. This would be a relative frequency distribution. So if he ever asks you about a relative frequency distribution, this could be your answer. Okay, here are the categories, here the frequency, and here the relative frequency. You need this column in this case. You divide 4 by 30, you get 0.133, you put it here. And 5 divided by 30, you put it here, and so on. If you add all the frequencies, you get small n. If you add all the relative frequencies, you get 1. Okay? But if you add all of these numbers, you get 1. And 30 divided by 30 is 1. So the total number of relative frequencies is 1. Good. So this is a frequency distribution and relative frequency distribution. Let us go now to the last point today, which is about grouped data frequency distribution. How to make a frequency distribution for continuous data or grouped data. We use grouped data frequency distribution for continuous data. We even use it for discrete data if we have many possibilities, okay, or many possible outcomes. Yani we have a lot of numbers. So you cannot put each number in a category. The number of categories will be very high in this case, okay? So you need to group the data. You put them into classes. So we will summarize the data in a grouped data frequency distribution in which we organize the data in classes. Okay, so this is the difference between discrete data, what we did in discrete data, and continuous data. There, each number is a category. Okay, look here, each number is a category. Now we have a lot of numbers, so we cannot put each number in a category. We have to group them in classes. Let me give you an example. For example, this data here. What do we have here? We have 72 cities of different sizes throughout US. Okay, for 72 cities. So these are 72 numbers. Okay, you cannot put each number as a category. So you will have 72 numbers in a table. This is not good. The people will not be enthusiastic to see this information, or you cannot get any information from that table. Put in your mind the number of classes. Usually, as a rule of thumb, we need the number of classes to be between 5 and 20. As a rule of thumb, the number of classes should be always between 5 and 20. More than 20, very large. Less than 5, very small. Between 5 and 20. So you could have 6 classes, 7 classes, 8 classes, 9 classes. It is up to you. It is your presentation. Okay, we will look to your presentation and enjoy your presentation. If you think 7 classes are good, okay. If you think 8 classes are good, it's okay. It's up to you. So there is nothing here correct, not correct. Everything is possible. You can choose 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever you like. But there is a method. There is a method. There is a guideline we can follow to determine K, which is the number of classes. Okay, we can determine K, the number of classes, like the following. See, if n is 230, yani if you have 230 values in the data, 230, very huge number, okay? So we divide the data into classes. How many classes do we need? You should use this formula. And 2 to the power k should be greater than or equal to 230. So you search for k such that 2 to the power k is greater than or equal to 230. You start trying 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2, 2 to the power 3. 2 to the power 7 would be 128, not greater than 230, so it's not good. 2 to the power 8 will be 256, greater than 230. So 8 classes are good. So you choose k equals 8. You can use logarithms if you like. If you apply log here to both sides, the k, in fact, should be greater than or equal to log or len. You can use log or len, log n over log 2. For example, here in this question, k should be greater than or equal to log. N is 230, with 2 is always there. If you use the calculator to find log 230 over log 2, the answer is 7.8. So now you round your answer up. So you choose k to be 8 لأن you need it to be greater than or equal. طبعا ال k number of classes, so it has to be an integer. And we cannot choose 7 point something classes. We have to choose 7 or 8 or 9 classes. So the number of classes would be 8. Let us do this again here in this example. How many cities are there? 72. فالN in this question is 72. So k should be greater than log 72 over log 2. If you use the calculator to divide log 72 by log 2, the answer would be 6.2. 6.2 is not good. We need an integer. You round up greater than or equal. So k would be 7. So the number of classes would be 7. So the first step in constructing a grouped frequency distribution, okay, developing a group frequency distribution, you need to determine the desired number of classes, okay, using this method. So k is 7. That's the first step. Next, what do we need to do next? Next, we need to determine the class width. Okay, we have 7 classes or 8 classes. What would be the class width? The width of each class. Each class will be from where to where. So you find the largest value minus the smallest value over the number of classes, which is k, which you did in step 1, and then you round your answer. فهنا large value 30, smallest 0. If you divide 3.75, now 3.75 is the minimum class width, but you need to round it up. You round it up to the same decimal as the data. The data here are integers 0, 1, 2, 30. You round it up to 4. وبالتالي the width here will be 4. For example, here, to determine W, which is the width, for largest, which is 1492, because this data is arranged, ordered, فال1492 هو largest, maximum, minus 35, which is the smallest or the minimum, over the number of classes, which we determined here, which is 7. Now, if you divide this, you will find it 1492 minus 35 divided by 7. The answer is 208.14. We need to round it up. You have to round it up. So you can take it to 09. You can take it to 10. You can take it to 12. You can take it to 15. You can take it to 20. It is up to you. Okay, it is up to you. Again, it's a presentation. But in this case, you have to make sure of certain conditions. Certain conditions must be true, must be correct. These three conditions. You have to make sure that the classes should meet four criteria. Mutually exclusive. Mutually exclusive do not overlap. Do not overlap. يعني there is no overlap. There is no intersection. This is mutually exclusive. يعني if the first class هنا look from 0 to 3 فالsecond from 4 to 7. يعني the 3 should be in the first class, not in the second. There is no intersection. 0, 3, 4, 7, 8, 11. Each value will be contained in one and only one class. This is the meaning of mutually exclusive. The second point, the data should be, or the classes should be all inclusive. All inclusive, يعني they contain all the data. All the data should be included in the classes. يعني especially, you have to make sure that the smallest one, that 35, is included, and 1492 is included in the data. Okay. طيب. And also the width preferably should be equal. The width should be equal. Well, the classes should not be empty. You shouldn't have any empty classes. Okay, this is the class. The width should be equal. Good. So the third point, after you determine the width of the class, you determine the class boundaries. From where to where, the class boundaries. These are here in this question. These are the class boundaries. These. Here, these are the class boundaries. You can write them like this, or you can write them in another way, like here. Now, how to determine the class boundaries, or you can call them categories. So, class boundaries or categories, okay, and frequency. This is the frequency distribution. Okay. Now, I need to start. From where should I start? You can start from the 35. You can start from 30. You can start from 20. Anything below 35, because 35 should be included. You cannot start by 36 or 40, because then 35 will not be included, and all the inclusive, all the data should be included. So I will start from 30. If I start from 30 up to, I could say 30 until I add now the 210. If you add the 210, you will get 240. Then 30 plus 210, 240. And then you can add another 210. You get 450. Plus 210, 660. Plus 210, 870. Plus 210, 1080. This is the class width. And plus 210, 1290. Let us count how many classes. 2, 4, 6, 7. Good. We have 7 classes. So you can write, if you like, here 1/5, 1/500 or not. This is the we need to make sure in 104, 1492 will be included in the last class. So what is the right limit of the class? If 240 is in the second class, then 239 should be in the first class. Here 240 minus 1. And now you can add 210 again, or you can subtract 1 from 440. Okay. So if you add 239 plus 110, you get 449. So this is 449. And you can continue adding 210. So you get 659. If you add 1, you should get 660. 859 plus 1, you should get 869. Okay, 869 plus 1, you should get 870. 1079 plus 1, you should get 1080. 1289 plus 1, you should get 1290, and then we have 1499. So these are the class boundaries. Now, do we have 35 in the first class? Yes. Do we have 1492 in the last class? Yes, because 1499 is the largest here. So 1492 is included in the last class. Do we have 7 classes? Yes. So the data are the classes are mutually exclusive, inclusive, they contain all the data, and we have 7 classes, so everything is fine. Now we start finding the frequency. Yalla, counting up to 239, up to 200, the data is arranged for 239 up to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 9 data, 9 values in the first class. In the second class, we go to up 449, 449, so up to here, 1, 2, 3, 6. So there are 6 values in the second class. From 450 to 659, 659 up to here, count 2, 4, 6, 9, 11. So there are 11 values here. Up to 869, 869, so this would be included. So if you count again, there are 11 numbers and so on. You continue like this, and at the end, if you add all the frequencies, you should get N, which is 72, the number of all the cities, 72 cities. So this is what we mean by a grouped frequency distribution. Now, if you want to take W 225, for example, and start from 0, for example, not from 30, this would be also okay. And if you want to write the class boundaries like this and not like this, this would be also okay. You can write it from 0 and under 225. And then you start from 225, the same number, and under 450. Under means 450 is not here, 449 is here, okay? So you can use this method or that method, and you can start from 0 up to 225. Will this be okay? Let us check. Is 35 included in the first class? Yes, because it starts from 0. What about 1492? Is it included in the last one? Yes, because it's greater than 1350. So it's included in the last one. So no class here is empty. Do we have 7 classes? Yes. So these classes are good. Any classes you make satisfies these conditions would be acceptable, okay? So if you want to start from 10, not from 0, can you make it 250? Can you go to 250? Check at home. If you make it 250, check it, okay? Check إنه 1492 would be included in the last one, okay? Maybe if you go to 250, then the last class will start from a number greater than 1492. So you will have 6 classes in this case, but it's not good, okay? But I don't know, you can check it at home. This is this is what we need to. طبعا هنا after that he counted the number of classes. طبعا this is a different one than mine because you'll have 12 here, because from 450 to 675 I have from 450 to 659, but there will be differences, but no problem, both are correct. I'll stop here, and if you have any question, please ask, and we will continue inshallah tomorrow.